Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Housewives Book Club. I'm Jen Keefe. I am joined by my dear, dear friend, Molly Mulshine. Hi, Molly. How we doing?
Hi, Jen. We're doing okay. We're not doing amazing because, as you, Jen, already know, we already recorded this episode last night for an hour and a half, and my microphone was fried for some reason. Today, it's perfect. Obviously, I sound perfect. I changed no settings. So that episode is going to be lost in the ether forever. But today, we're covering part 2 of Teresa Giudice's memoir, Turning the Tables, from Housewife to Inmate and back again. And so this is just a disclaimer for the many listeners. If we repeat ourselves in any way, it's because we don't remember what was already published versus what got flushed down the toilet last night. So have mercy on us.
Have mercy on us souls, our Father who art in heaven.
Exactly. So, okay, I want to set the scene for Teresa's book, part 2, with something that we didn't cover last week, which is a mind-blowing fact. This is a timeline fact. Teresa got out of prison on December 23rd, 2015. This book, Turning the Tables, was published on February 9th, 2016. Teresa and her ghostwriter, the esteemed KC Baker, got this book together in a mere 6 weeks, maybe less. Does that blow your mind?
That blows my mind. As we say in our home, that ghostwriter was wheels up when Teresa got out of prison.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. One thing you can say about Tree is she works hard. I mean, whatever the girl has going on in her life, she's going to turn it into two nickels to rub together. And I absolutely love that about her. And the book is long, it's detailed, as we already said, 261 pages. I couldn't write 261 pages in a month. And I'm a professional writer. I could write them, but they wouldn't be this compelling.
Totally. I think the fact that the turnaround was so quick means that Tree was just meticulously journaling the whole time, and I really think they could just pop a lot of that into the book.
Yeah, this book really is a prison journal, and that's what makes it. But they also had a lot of good biographical info in the beginning that probably took a little bit of time to write as well. I wonder if Teresa and KC got all of the exposition together before she checked into Danbury. And then when she came out, they basically transcribed whatever she had written in prison. And that is really impressive to me. A lot of people would not have done that, would not have been capable of working on this project while they were in jail. So I need to take back a lot of my previous criticisms of Teresa, which have mostly happened off mic because I'm terrified of her fans. But it gives me a new level of respect for her. This book came out before Giudice even started his stint in prison.
Crazy.
Giudice went in March 20. He finished in March 2019. He went in after this book came out, like a month after the book came out. And he was sent from prison straight to a facility in Western Pennsylvania for immigration detainees. So he's lucky that his buddy Donald Trump wasn't in his second term when he got out. And that's all I'm going to say about that because we don't need to get into politics on this podcast.
My lips are sealed.
In other Giudice news, Melania had her deposition this week for her domestic whatever case. And what we learned is she allegedly was attacking in the home a person who was referred to as LR. So obviously everyone has jumped to the conclusion that it was Louis Ruelas. But I don't know. It could have been Lisa Rinna.
Who else in the Housewives universe?
It could have been Larry Randolph, whoever that is. Leah Remini, Lou Reed, Lionel Richie, Linda Ronstadt. There are a lot of avenues we could go down.
I had a major crush on Leah Remini's character in King of Queens.
She's so cool in that. She really is. She's a broad. I want to be, that's who I aspire to be. That's like a Real Housewife of New Jersey made good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she is the blueprint.
She could have been beating up Leanne Rimes on behalf of Brandi Glanville, finally.
Yes. Did you see Brandi was just cast in the next season of whatever that crazy, like, repelling show is? It's not called Lone Survivor. Special Forces.
Oh, yeah, I will never watch that show.
Too bad. You should.
Really? Did you like it?
We watched the first season when it was like, what is going on? Because Kenya Moore was in it.
Yeah, that's fun. I would like to see that actually.
Kenya was bungee jump. She went in a helicopter that was submerged in water and had to escape. It blew our minds.
Gone with the Wind, fabulous.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Melania, if she was in fact rocking Louis, honestly, free Melania.
Totally.
I don't need to know anything else about what went on. My girl is innocent, even if she did it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I really hope it does not come to light that he resisted in any way. I hope you know what I mean?
Yeah, Juicy will be on the first flight up from the Bahamas to destroy him.
Yeah. That poor girl. Thoughts and prayers to her. Thoughts and prayers.
Yeah, Melania, we're on your side. You did nothing wrong. Hashtag Team Melania, hashtag Free Melania. This is a Melania Giudice supporting podcast.
Yep. What did you make of Tree, PR-wise, making the announcement about her book just days after, I believe, the arrest reached the media?
It was a valiant attempt at redirecting the conversation, but I'm sorry. Even a Teresa Giudice literary release is not going to make us care less about Louis Ruelas perhaps finally getting punched in the face, allegedly. I'm sorry, Tree. We're not. I love you and I support your literary career, but it's the two are unrelated. The stink on Louis is not going to be dissipated by a new book unless the new book details his crazy tactics of, alleged narcissistic abuse that his past partners have come forward about, allegedly.
Mm-hmm. I'm just picturing that video of him at the man camp. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, the man camp video. The video heard around the world. The shirtless Louis surrounded by other shirtless, gleaming men, just swearing his love to someone who shall not be named. We have no idea who it was. Her name is findable. But yeah, that was truly bizarre. And it's just the kind of thing that would be a deal breaker, I think, for me, if I saw that a guy had done that.
Yeah.
Which it shouldn't be because it's spiritual. And I guess it's kind of warm and fuzzy and it's nice to be trying. But I don't know. It kind of, to me, it feels like anyone who has to try that hard to prove that they are not evil, the gentleman doth protest too much,
Sure.
Anyway, okay, let's get back into the book. Chapter 3. We are now at the point in Teresa's life when Bravo comes a knockin', and she answers. And basically what happened was she became best friends with Jacqueline and Dina. They were just these three little cute, glam, lunching and brunching housewives who would hang out all the time. She said she loved them like sisters. And pretty soon, Bravo got wind of this lovely friendship from the owner of Chateau Hair Salon, Victor Castro. They asked him if he could recommend any clients who would be good for TV, and he said Dina and Jacqueline. So now Teresa at the time of this writing was not friends with Jacqueline anymore, so she drops some shade in about Jacqueline throughout this tale. And she says, predictably, Jacqueline was on board right away, which was, that's a little mean, right?
Yeah.
She's implying that Jacqueline is some kind of attention hula, as they say in Jersey. But I never got that sense from Jacqueline. Did you?
No, not really. No.
Yeah. And she's like, Dina was not sold on it immediately, but she figured she could highlight her charity, Project Ladybug, and that's why she signed on. But Dina had already done the VH1 series, My Fabulous Wedding. So Dina was a reality TV veteran at this point. She and her entire family, they were just waiting to become the next Osbournes, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's accurate. Also, if you pick up Turning Tables, and I highly recommend that you do, you have to do a shot every time Tree mentions Project Ladybug in this chapter.
She mentions it so many times. I mean, that's a good friend. She's just plugging her friend's charity over and over and over again. But then later in the book, she reveals that when she went on, it might have been The Apprentice or something else, she did some sort of big fundraiser, and she goes out of her way to say she decided not to support Project Ladybug and instead to support a specific branch of children's cancer because of a kid she met and was very moved by. So that was weird too. I was like, you didn't need to explain why you didn't pick Project Ladybug. I think Dina Manzo rules that friendship with an iron fist. Is Dina Manzo the only dom in Teresa's life? Is that the only person Teresa Giudice is submissive to now that Joe Giudice is out of the picture?
I'm thinking.
Louis also. It's funny because Tree Tree is such a dom in so many situations, but she is a sub in her marriages, right?
Do you think she's a sub to Louis?
Yeah, big time.
Okay.
He does really weird things and she just signs on to it blindly. That's her pattern in relationships.
Okay. I feel like it's just, this is the tragedy. It's been so long since she's been on our TV. When did the last season of Jersey, did it even air in 2025 or did it wrap up in 2024?
It must have been at least 2 years ago, and they didn't even have a reunion. They sat in
No.
2 separate rooms at Railed or whatever that restaurant is called.
Rails. Rails.
That's gotta be our next pilgrimage. It has to be to Railed the next time that I'm in Jersey because, wow, what a historic site. But yeah, they didn't even have a reunion, and he has driven a wedge between her and her brother even more because he's so clearly a weirdo. Joe Gorga even realizes it. You
But
know,
now they're healed. Now they're healed. We saw them upload photos together. I'm praying for them, praying for them. I don't
I
like when
know.
families not getting along.
Yeah, we always love the family. Family is everything, obviously.
Traditional family values.
Yeah, that's what the Giudices and Gorgas are all about. Something really funny that happened in chapter 3 was that Teresa reveals Dina wanted to wait to get to know Danielle Staub before she and Jacqueline brought her to the producers. But Jacqueline went ahead and brought Danielle to the producers anyway. And this, I think, is a big source of the tension we see on screen because I think the Manzos, Dina and Caroline, like I said, they wanted to become this new Jackson family of reality TV. And they were pissed that someone rogue was on the cast. So they spent the entire season 1 further ostracizing Danielle because they felt that they couldn't control her.
Yeah, I don't dispute that.
So yeah, I think a lot of the time with these shows, the drama springs from who is and isn't cast on the show. And the
Yep.
drama revolves around who are we kicking off this year. And that's when the shows become bad. But it definitely worked for season 1 of Roan J because Danielle was such a weirdo. Even though she never did anything wrong, she was just weird. And it worked to kind of have her be this foil to all the other women. And it created one of the best seasons of reality TV of all time, I would say.
Do you remember her performance on Watch What Happens Live with the lesbian pianist?
Yes, I loved Danielle Staub's lesbian arc. It came out of nowhere, like a bat out of hell, and then it disappeared and was never spoken of again.
Yeah, I think about that clip a lot.
Yeah, we're gonna need to revisit that. That was such a good era in Housewives because social media wasn't as popular. So whatever they did, they could convince themselves that it was iconic and perfect. They were not receiving any criticism from anyone besides their castmates. And we need to somehow get back to that. We need to somehow isolate these women from social media so that they don't see the criticism of themselves and can truly let their freak flags fly again.
100%. 100%. All right, so Tree breaks down the casting drama in chapter 3.
Yes. She claims it took her 11 months to accept being cast on the show, which is pretty rich. I don't know. Do you think she really dithered for 11 months about this? Or do you think pre-production just took 11 months and they didn't ask her for an answer until 11 months after she first learned about it?
I fell for that narrative, hook, line, and sinker. I was like, yes, Tree was so gentle and sweet and demure, and then the show changed her. She didn't need the show. I fell for that.
My other favorite thing that she said was that you saw the real me in the first 2 seasons. I didn't become mean and vengeful until later because of situations on the show. Well, the first 2 seasons was the table flip and calling someone a prostitution whore in front of her children. So it's like, okay, if the shoe fits, if that's the real you, it is the real her. It is. Like, she definitely has this really sweet maternal side, and she definitely has this psycho side that I think she probably gets along with Joe Gorga from their terrifying father.
Sure. Listen, I can't believe I haven't brought this up yet, but I think it was 3 years ago, I went to Dolo's fundraiser for Maimonides Hospital at the Brooklyn Cyclones baseball stadium.
Right. I was driving past that historic site when I was on my way to JFK, and all I could hear was it said Maimonides on the map. I don't know if that's how you say it, but I know that's how Dolo says it. Dolores says Maimonides, Maimonides. So in my head, that was just like playing on a loop while I was like stuck in traffic on the way to JFK. And how was it?
It was amazing. 11 out of 10 night, me, Melissa, and our friend Duffy went, and observing the housewives between innings and things, they were extremely generous, signing things, taking pictures with the fans the entire time. And Tree was one of the people. She was constantly signing autographs, taking pictures with people. We got a picture and talked to Dolo, but Tree didn't come over to our area. But seeing them in person, you are reminded that they are more than the character on the show. And the table flip, her describing her first season where she flips a table is sweet. I don't know. I don't know what my point is, but I just fall. I have a soft spot for Tree.
Yeah, what a beautiful sentiment, Jen. It's true. Both things are true, you know? I mean, when you cross her, the Paterson comes out. And as long as you don't cross her, she's going to be like sweet as a kitten, I think.
Do,
But
do
she's
you want to
definitely
explain?
scary.
Do you want to explain to the listeners the specifics of the Paterson comes out?
Honestly, she said it. I would never have pegged Paterson as this brawling, dark underworld that she and the other ladies seem to believe it is. But she says in one season to Danielle Staub, I'm from Paterson. Did you forget? And I guess what her point is even though I appear to be this demure, elegant woman, which LOL, I am from the other side of the tracks. And it's like, Teresa, we know we didn't forget that you didn't go to Harvard, you know, like it's something that is top of mind for us most of the time when we're engaging with your character on television. But it just was it's such an iconic line from her because nobody outside of the Bergen County area even has a frame of reference for what Paterson is. I mean, I live an hour away from there and I'm like, okay, I guess is Paterson like sketchy or are there a lot of fights going? Is it a UFC hub? I don't know. I don't know. I guess it's just the kind of thing in my town. Maybe you would be like, well, I'm from Brick or something, but it's like, okay, it's just such a hyper local reference, but you know what it means when you hear her say it, I guess. What would your Paterson be as a masshole?
I'm gonna shout out my mom's hometown, Lynn.
Okay.
Lynn. Yeah, Lynn's changed a lot, but back in the day it was a little rougher around the edges. There's a saying, Lynn, Lynn, the city of sin, you never come out the way you went in.
That is so good. That's such a long nickname.
Yeah. Yeah, we would say that a lot.
It
We
just
would tease my
keeps
mom.
it keeps going and it delivers.
Yeah, it's a good punchline.
My mom also, she's from Chester. If anyone is from the Delco community out there, she's from Chester and she likes to remind me of that. She likes to be like, "Well, I am from Chester." In the same way that Tree would say she's from Paterson. So, yeah, we've all got our own Paterson. Deep inside of us, there is a Paterson inside
Yeah.
of every person, I would say.
Sound off in the comments on Spotify what your Paterson is.
Yeah, what's your Paterson? I want to know. So, she says she spent her first season salary on expenses for the show. That's how flush with cash she and Juicy were at that time. And we all know
The
why.
whole thing? She spent the whole salary?
The whole
I missed that.
salary.
I know that they
Yes.
weren't paid a lot in the beginning. I know that's true.
Yeah, and it's funny that she even mentions that because it's like, Tree, you're not helping yourself with your white collar crime allegations here. It's like, yeah, we know you had way more money than you were supposed to during that first season, and it was not because of the Bravo paycheck. Like, let's
Yeah.
not go there, but at least she looked great. She was in full glam. She looked amazing. She got her boobies that season, I think. She didn't talk about that. No, she got her boobies before or after she had Adriana. Was literally just thinking about it today because I can't wait to get my boobies.
And Molly, could you tell all of our listeners the price for a mommy makeover in Dublin?
I forget what I told you, but I found one that I think it was 9,000 euros, right? Is that what I said?
Yeah.
Full torso.
Full torso. On the Valley right now, we're watching Brittany recover from a mommy makeover.
Yeah, and she's like, I'm going to eat an entire bag of crab legs dipped in paprika to recover from my mommy makeover. And it's like, Brittany, this is not going to help. You should be like having smoothies and collagen pills. What are you doing? She's like, how about a deep fried grilled cheese the night before my surgery? What are you thinking, Britt?
Your Brittany's really good.
Thank you. I really like her. She's fun to watch.
I love Brittany. That's for another day, but she's really, I find her so genuine and sweet, and I love that she's still friends with Zach, this childhood Kentucky friend, but that's for another day.
Zach is carrying the show. He's amazing. I love him so much.
Carrying the show. Okay, that's interesting.
He's the Greek chorus. You guys don't like him, right?
It's not I would say it's more complex than that. Yeah, it's more I like him more and more. But yeah, in the beginning I was wary of him. He seemed kind of he's a gay that I can't quite place. And I think that scares me a little.
Internalized homophobia much?
Yep, exactly. Of course, what else is new? It's a day that ends in Y.
Okay, anyway, speaking of internalized homophobia, let's get back to the Giudices. Also, last little tidbit from chapter 3. They pitched the show to all the women as Jersey moms, which is really funny. It's a red flag. If Bravo comes to you and says, hey, we're doing a regional show about wives and mothers who have a great lifestyle, but it's not going to be a Housewives franchise, we're calling it Jersey moms. Just know they are lying to you. They do this every time. They did it in Potomac. They told the women, this is a show about etiquette. In Atlanta, I think the first season, they pretended they were framing it around cooking, right? Atlanta was always Atlanta. There was another franchise, Miami maybe. They all end up throwing dinner parties and complaining about each other's food in the first season. And you're like, why is this a through line? And then when you dig into it, it's like, oh, because they told these women it was a cooking show in order to get them on board. So just so everyone out there knows, Bravo is going to cast you on Real Housewives. Don't believe them when they say it's different.
That's such fun trivia about Miami. I won't say where or any details, but I do have a friend that interviewed for a production company that produces Roni that is casting a new show, and it had a very similar kind of name to what you just said.
Fake working title.
Yes.
Can you say an equivalent of what this fake working title was?
Horrible parents.
Horrible parents. Okay, that is 100% a Real Housewives franchise because that is one of the pillars of Real Housewifery is being a terrible parent. So I just hope your friend knows she's about to be a Real Housewife. Congrats.
I think she opted to not do it, but I really
God.
wanted her to.
Maron. If I ever got interviewed, and I won't because I've talked about the show too much publicly, I would be chomping at the bit. They would never pick me because I would be too desperate, because I would love to be on it.
Malls, would you really, though? Because you really have to air your laundry. You really have to display everything, and you wouldn't want your kids on camera.
Would I want my kids on camera? Yeah. Because then they can be influencers. They don't have to worry about work ever in their lives if they go on one of these shows. And would I air my dirty laundry? Yes, I already do. I am dying for a bigger platform to hear my complaints about my upbringing and those around me. Yes, I would do it. I would air it all.
Shed Media, where are you? Are you listening? Please contact Molly Mulsheim.
Real Housewives of Dublin. I'll be the annoying loud American. It's the role I was born to play.
That would be a really good show, especially since we've confusingly lost Ladies of London.
I know. Oh my God. Pour one out for Ladies of London. Pour out a pint.
Awful.
Okay, chapter 4. This was not the most stuff happening in this chapter, so we'll just kind of breeze through it so we can get to prison. So she talks about how she pushed Andy at the reunion because of her fiery Italian temper, and it just made me laugh because in the previous chapter, she's like, I'm not violent or mean, and in this one, she's like, well, it's because of my fiery Italian temper, and it's like, okay, Tree, which one is it? Like, obviously, this is a part of you and who you are. Don't blame it on being Italian. I have a lot of Italian friends. They've never pushed anyone. So it's just funny to see her kind of coming to terms with her true nature in print because I don't think she ever will actually come to terms with it. But that's what makes her a good housewife, right? The lack of self-awareness.
Totally. Totally.
She also talks about why she was so annoyed that Kathy and Melissa joined the show because she's like, why didn't they ask me? They shouldn't have gone behind my back. They should have asked me if they could join the show. And it's like, well, because you wouldn't have helped them because you just wanted it to be your show. That's why they went behind your back.
Yep.
Do you think it's fair that they did that?
Got my tongue tied. Clearly, they do not have the dynamic is such that they could have had a collaborative conversation with Tree. Hey, the production company actually approached me. How would you feel about that?
Right. What would Teresa have said? She would have been like, "Get off my show, Kath." You know, like she would have not been receptive to it at all.
Yeah.
Do you think they should have just left alone? I wouldn't have. If one of my cousins or my sister was on a show and she was gatekeeping it from me, I don't know if I'd go behind her back and go on it, but if she was Teresa, I probably would.
Yeah. Yeah, like, the juice is not worth the squeeze, like, they know what would happen if they brought that to her, so they did what they wanted to do and bypassed her to just to eliminate that obstacle.
Something really interesting that we get a glimpse into with this story as well is her continued insistence on never blaming the system or the powers that be, but always blaming the powerless people around her in the way that she doesn't get mad at the judge or the judicial system for throwing her in prison. She gets mad at the media for reporting on it and wanting to take her picture. She doesn't get mad at Bravo for approaching her sister and her cousin. She gets mad at them for playing ball. And I wonder if this is her sort of mafia mentality that she always loves to talk about. You know, she has this one quote from her union where she's like, "I didn't do such and such thing because I've seen The Godfather." Like that's her big own is like, "Oh, well, I've seen The Godfather." She really cares about omerta and loyalty, and she kind of just it's just funny because she knows where her bread is buttered. She knows that she can't criticize Bravo for going after them because she could lose her job. She can't criticize the judge for sending her to jail sort of arbitrarily because she might get caught again. So she, instead of saying, okay, I'm going to deal with this, I'm just going to make my choice, she kind of finds other people to blame and scapegoat, you know?
Mhm, mhm. It just shows the depths to which she does not want to blame Juicy Joe and how deep that denial is, that the reason she's having these legal troubles, the reason these legal troubles are happening to them is anything except the truth.
Yes. So we get into that in chapter 5 when they start getting charged and having to go to court and everything. We don't get as many details on the actual legal process that I would have liked, right?
We also don't get any details on the specifics of the accusations. It's just sort of like we were arrested and then we had to go to court and I don't know why.
Yes. She talks about all of her legal issues as if it were a case of mistaken identity and they got the
Yes.
wrong girl. The-
Yes.
and it's like, Teresa, you took action that resulted in this happening. You might have done that ignorantly of the law. You may not have known you were breaking the law, but the fact remains that the court found that you broke the law. So you can't just keep saying so she says in this chapter to her mom. Her mom is like, "Why is this happening to you? There's no good reason for this to happen to you." And Teresa says to her mom, "There's a reason why. They thought I broke the law. Not I broke the law, not I signed the wrong papers, but like, oh, there's this huge mistake happening." And that's what she kind of attributes it to throughout. And like you said, the deep denial of the fact that her husband was the driving force behind this. Because whether Teresa knowingly did something wrong or not, I think we can agree that she would not have been doing this if it wasn't for Juicy putting these papers in front of her. It would not have
Yeah.
occurred to Teresa to commit mortgage fraud and bank fraud on her own,
Mhm.
right?
And it goes without saying, but this particular crime of mortgage fraud, who cares? A bank lost money? They robbed from a bank? Who gives a shnikey? I know we're trying to keep it PG-13.
A Schneike. I care as a Wells Fargo customer because if you're stealing from Wells Fargo, they're not gonna, like, pay for it. They're gonna charge all of the other members of the bank to make up for what was stolen.
No, this is pennies to them. Also, Wells Fargo, I think, is the bank that got into a heap of trouble for something with mortgages, for screwing their customers.
Wow, you heard it here first. Jen Keefe does not respect the banking community and feels that we should all be committing white collar crimes because, and I quote, "Who cares?"
Thank you. Yes,
She is
absolutely.
Sicilian after all.
Yes.
The 25% Sicilian jumped out.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, defrauding Wells Fargo from, a six-figure sum is a fairly victimless crime compared to, like, looking at Jen Shaw's crime. Unfortunately, looking at the Grand Dame's multiple DUIs. Like, okay, I'll stop my diatribe about white-collar crime.
Yeah, on the hierarchy of crimes, it's pretty low for sure. And I don't think it was necessary for Teresa to go to prison. I think Juicy was he was a repeat offender. And again, I said this in the first episode, but if you listen to the Bravo Docket podcast, it becomes clear that even once he was caught, he refused to kind of play ball and admit that he had been doing this. Like if they had played their cards differently, they wouldn't have ended up in jail. And that is like I think his fault. They're both pretty bullheaded. It really bothered me in this chapter that the judge said, my gut says Teresa Giudice needs to be in prison, because why is one person's gut feeling the thing that determines whether a bunch of people's lives are going to be ruined? And this
Let's
applies to
talk about
anyone in the
that.
judicial system, you know?
Yeah, let's talk about that. That's why, ladies and gents, you vote for your judges. So vote in your local elections because you vote on judges.
Something else that sort of confused me was that Teresa said she had to leave for prison in the middle of the night because of the paparazzi. But I was like, why not just let them get the shot? Like, just leave when you want to leave and let them get the shot. Who cares?
Well, we find out later there's a way to play that as a celeb being papped where you stand to gain the money from that photo. So I think just being randomly snapped on the way to prison, there was no way that she would benefit monetarily. There was no way for her to give those photos and make some money off of it herself.
Right. She probably pitched to a few different weeklies saying, I will give you the exclusive on my pap walk into jail. And they turned it down. So then she was like, well, now nobody gets it. And that's why she went, yeah, that makes sense.
I think that she actually didn't pitch it at that time.
You think?
Yeah, I think she
Why
was
not?
too sensitive, like, appropriately sensitive about it all.
Yeah, that makes sense because she did hate people talking about her being in prison. She hated it so much.
And
She
I mean even from the standpoint of how traumatic it was to leave her kids.
Yeah, reading her account of saying goodbye to the daughters was so horrible. She
Yeah.
told the 3 younger ones that she was writing a book about prison, and that's why she had to go to prison, and I have to say, as a mother and a wife, I support that completely, because I
Yeah.
think lying to little kids is sometimes warranted. There's this new trend where everyone's like, "You have to be honest with your kids." What? Why?
If it protects them, if it's something that's not gonna affect them, then frickin' lie.
Yes, like, not to go too dark, but unfortunately, we had to say goodbye to my dog, Oscar, about a month ago. And everything I read online was like, you need to be honest with your 2-year-old and tell them about the concept of death because parents are supposed to be honest with their kids. And I was just like, no,
Mm.
no, I'm
She's
not.
2.
She's 2. She's gonna go to daycare and tell everyone, "My dog died." And then they're gonna go home and say, "My friend's dog died," and ask their parents what that means. Like, no, I'm not doing that. So we didn't tell her about death. We just told her he went to heaven, which I think is a good middle ground. And I don't think it's going to harm her at all. Because also, having had parents who were incredibly honest about everything from a very young age, it didn't help.
Mm. Mhm, mhm.
So
No, that
Trey
I thought that was very smart what she told the kids about, "I'm writing a book."
Yeah, but then she said Melania copped on. Of course, Melania, our capo di tutti capi. She knew. She said, "Mom, I hate that this is happening to you." While Teresa was saying goodnight to her and saying goodbye to her, and she realized that Melania knew the truth.
Mhm. I do wanna this really broke my heart, this quote, when she was saying goodbye to the kids. Gia said to Tree, "Mommy, don't worry about it. I'll be here. I'll help Daddy with the girls." That that broke me. When kids, don't get to be kids,
Yeah.
and that seeing that is always just I can't even take it.
The parentification. Yeah. You hate to
Exactly.
see it. It's very sad. Now we get to chapter 6 when Teresa arrives at prison. Jen, what what left the most indelible mark on your psyche when you were reading chapter 5, Orange is the New dot 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 nightmare?
Oh, so much. Okay. Obviously the fact that her dorm tree is very clear to correct that she was not in a cell, but that at Danbury prison they had dorms where she had, I believe, 3 roommates. Her dorm was referred to as the boom boom room.
Yes, that was so I felt so bad for her. Basically, her roommates would just be going at it all the time, and it made it hard for her to sleep. And she provided a section of handwritten journal that recounted this experience, and it has smiley faces and emojis in it, handwritten, which I really got a kick out of. And she says in this excerpt,
I have it right here if you want it.
okay, yeah, you go.
So Tree in the book, she has scanned copies of her handwritten journals. And on one page she had prison terms and all these terms that she's learning. And this really made me laugh. This particular note said, and I quote, "There are a lot of lesbians in here. It is called gay for this day." Oh,
It is called. She has another journal clip where she says, "When I got here, everyone was very welcoming. It is like a family. Everyone sticks together and tries to help each other get through the days. It is called survival, so you can get home to your family." It is called survival, so you can get home to your family. That's what it's called. Survival, so you can get home to your family. So, such a singular way of writing. So, what happens next in that clip? Doesn't she say they will go into town, downtown, and then a smiley face?
yes, she does. Yes, she does. Tree's describing this is her first night or one of the first nights. Her bunkie is going downtown on her prison girlfriend, and she claims, "I was laying in bed, and then I said, 'Is someone cooking fish? Why is someone cooking at this hour?'"
That was so weird. There's no way it actually smelled like fish. That felt to me like internalized misogyny to be like, it smells like fish. Ugh, that I didn't like that.
Yes, yes. And obviously, I took issue with the peddling that lesbian sex equates to "it smells like fish."
Yeah, that was very middle school. It was very weird, but whatever. She's like 58, so I guess we just gotta let her have that one.
But I know that it's prison. There's a lack of nutrition, a lack of medical care, and, both of the ladies may have been experiencing some kind of issue down
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, if it smells like that, something's wrong. That's not a normal smell. Something is amiss if that's what's going if there's a tilapia essence when you're making love, you need get thee to an OBGYN.
Oof. Mhm.
She quickly found 2 new friends, Nikki and Tanya. I found this so interesting because Tree bonded with the financial crime girlies. And I was like, this is probably the first time that Teresa found herself in like a college educated milieu because she was a white collar criminal. This is Teresa's first stint as a white collar anything, really. This is not the peer group that she grew up with, right?
I suppose, yeah. She was in the Harvard of Danbury.
Yeah. So in Orange is the New Black, a show that you were on as a featured player, correct?
Featured player, no.
I don't know what that means.
I know. Yeah, I don't know what that is. But yeah, you were close.
It's from the theater.
I was a recurring co-star.
A recurring co-star. We love to see it. And in Orange is the New Black, everyone was divided along racial lines. And Shri does get into that in a future chapter, TV Wars, which we will be doing the deepest of dives on next week. I'm obsessed with the TV Wars chapter. But Teresa, instead of congregating with her fellow whites, she found the financial criminals and white collar criminals. I just thought that was such an interesting distinction that she kind of, because I wouldn't think that about her. I would think that Teresa would be mixing it up with everybody. But yeah, I guess, yeah, I don't know. Those were the
She
2
did.
women that she went out of her way to create a real profile of, Nikki and Tanya.
Yes, those were her closest core friends, but she does qualify and she explains, yes, prison is extremely cliquey. She names the groups, but she is very clear to state that I had friends from every group.
Yeah, she does, even during the TV wars. But the most horrible detail for me was the lack of temperature control. And I know that sounds really stupid, but that would really, really just chip away at my soul. The fact that the shower is freezing cold every single day and you have to hold a button to keep the shower on. I've been camping and had to do that, and one time was enough for me. It's dehumanizing to have to hold the shower to be on, and it's cold. They would have to sometimes ask someone to flush the toilet so that it would get a little warmer. That was horrible. They had to hold the faucet on the whole time. She was so cold when she was going to sleep, she had to wear all of her clothes plus like 3 blankets. That would really, really just grate on me. That was horrible. And the food, the tan food, that really killed me. She couldn't get oatmeal raisins, so she had to have this woman named Magic get her some raisins out of thin air. That was really funny. I don't know how this woman was getting the raisins and the dick meat. Do you recall this passage?
Yes, the turkey ham, but of course.
Yeah, she said there was turkey ham that they would feed you, and there was a bulldagger, which was a new term to me, who christened it dick meat. And she said she laughed hard at that. And I have to say, I also laughed hard at that because it was pink and disgusting. Did you ever hear this term bulldagger before?
No, I have not.
She said a bulldagger is a butch lesbian who excels at turning straight women while they're in the cling.
I love it. I'm gonna use it as much as I can henceforth.
Can you, are you a bulldagger, Jen?
Well, in the context of my marriage, no comment.
You love to see it. That's powerful. That is true power.
Bulldagging left and right in these streets.
Watch out. I loved that they used bulldag as a verb because it comes up later again. And she says, there was a woman who was bulldagged by this other woman. And the bulldagger in that context was also really good at singing. So they called her Beyonce. And the woman she bulldagged, they started calling her Jay-Z. That was so funny.
That was so good.
And what about also when Teresa gets cornrows and they start calling her the OG?
Yeah. Tree was very, very complimentary of the hairdresser she saw at Danbury, who was an inmate.
Yeah, that really, I loved that. That was felt true to life because of the Laverne Cox character in Orange is the New Black. I loved that. One of the other times, Tree's hair is so important to her, which I resonate with so much. She said that it really hit her that she was in prison after the first time she washed her hair and had to let it air dry because she looked so unlike how she usually looked that it kind of was dehumanizing to her and made her realize, like, I am not in Kansas anymore, and I would be the same way. That's what would really break me even more so than the dick meat or the bad temperatures. Having to air dry my hair and see what that actually looks like for the first time since I was a child, that's really what would, I think, break me in the context of prison.
Sure. Yeah, you're not cut out for that.
Yeah.
I'll also say, you asked the question what struck you about Tree showing up to prison, like of the horrible details, what was striking. And Tree mentions when talking about, the ladies making love at night, how difficult it is to sleep in prison, not only because of that, but because of people simply talking at night. People have different sleep patterns, and some ladies were up at night. Little fact about me: in college, I volunteered at a creative writing class at Attica Prison in New York State. And when we would go there, now this was a very traditional prison in the sense of its cells, clanging door cells and just cement. It was extremely loud because if you think about it, it's just this giant room, everything's sort of connected and everything's made of metal. So any talking just echoes and amplifies throughout the halls. So I really can empathize with Tree and the other incarcerated people, how freaking loud it is and how difficult it is to get proper rest.
Yeah, wow. That is something I would never think about. The lack of upholstery
Yes,
to
definitely.
muffle the sounds. It's
Yeah,
like you're just in an echo chamber the whole time.
exactly.
God, that would get to you.
Yeah, it's really bad.
Something else that I would have a hard time with is even if you just gossip about anyone, then you're considered a snitch, which is obviously how you get your ass beat. So you can't even gossip. Like she was scared to even say to anybody like, God, all my roommates keep hooking up. It's so annoying. She can't even do that because she's so scared that she's gonna get considered a snitch. That really was kind of mind blowing to me. I don't know why. I guess because I'm a gossip.
Same, same. Yeah, Tree was very quick to pick up the unspoken codes and rules. She immediately fell into line.
Yeah, it was funny in a later chapter also, she talks about the prison godmothers, one of whom she was really close with, Shaniqua, and she's like, "I couldn't believe it, but some of the girls said that if I had stayed longer, I could have become a godmother myself." And it's like, "Really? You couldn't believe that? You couldn't believe I can believe it, Tree. I can see Teresa being a prison godmother. It's the role she was born to play, TBH."
Yeah, yeah. One other detail about when she first arrived, and the sort of horrors they deal with. She talked about how the commissary, where you can buy things like tampons, toothpaste, toothbrush, soap, is only open 1 day a week. And basic toiletries, you're not just given. So if you show up to prison on a Wednesday and commissary opens on Tuesday, you have to go 6 days without extremely basic hygienic things. And she talked about how the women are extremely generous with each other about when new people show up, and sort of sharing, toothbrushes and soap and things and shampoo because they otherwise have to wait a week to buy them, which is it's just horrendous. I mean, nothing new that the conditions in American prisons are subhuman.
Yeah, it's horrible. And the clothes that they make you wear a uniform from 8:30 to 3:30 in the morning, and then you can wear a t-shirt and sweatpants afterward. It's like, "What? Why?" That's so weird. And she had these boat shoes that a woman gave her, and she would only wear the boat shoes when her family came to visit because she didn't want her girls to see her in the prison boots. That was such a, like, sad, touching detail, you know?
Of course.
Yeah. So, okay, that was chapter 5 of Turning the Tables from Housewife to Inmate and Back Again by Teresa Giudice. We will reconvene next week for the remainder of this book, which is all prison all the time. It really gets wild.
Yeah, I didn't realize this, guys, but this is a prison memoir, I think Molly said. I thought we would go to prison and then get out of it and talk about housewives. No, we're in prison the rest of the book.
Yeah, it really is her prison diary. It really is. It's a fascinating cultural artifact, I would say.
Totally, totally.
So thank you everyone for listening. Please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. It is essential. If you're listening on Spotify, leave a comment on this episode. Anything you want to say, preferably positive, but like whatever. And follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Molly Mulshine, at Hey Jen Key.
Thank you, everyone. Ciao, ciao.
Dorit. Okay. Dorit's here.